Kevin Hambley, Jeff Holzmeyer, running their respective programs. And a Stanford team that's been red hot in this 7-match win streak. Just 2 sets dropped, including one Friday. There's the Stanford head coach, 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year, and fresh off a deep run to the tournament. It's a freshman-led Stanford team, but you couldn't tell by their talent.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we talked about it. Freshman libero, freshman setter, a lot of freshmen on that court, but you can just tell they play at such an elite level, which we're going to see here this afternoon.
And Jeff Holzmeyer leading Wake Forest, the longtime Florida State assistant. Quick swing and system for the Wake middle. That's Sanaa Williams with the early point.
That right there is exactly what you want to see from Wake Forest. We're starting early on, but when they have a pass and they are on it, they just need to capitalize on using all of those players and taking really good swings.
Williams now on service. Wake hit over 270 in the match win against Cal Friday night. Stanford a difficult second set, but dominated NC State 25-12. That's a convincing way to close out a match.
Yeah, they really closed out strong, especially, going into playing against Wake Forest this afternoon, which is, I think, exactly what the plan was, just to feel good, going into Sunday.
Jordan Harvey with a great serve off the tape. It's kind of a ridiculous road trip here for Stanford. Last 2 weeks at Clemson, now here in the Carolinas.
The ACC certainly has changed and evolved over the years with just adding so many of these different teams. But let's talk about how powerful the ACC is now in volleyball. It's just been awesome to see how much it's evolved.
6 ranked teams, now 4 in the top 10. And those 4 kind of stand alone with Stanford, Pitt, SMU, Louisville. But don't sleep on what Carolina did Friday night. Sophie Hampton had 25 kills. They upset the Mustangs in 5 sets. And as Jeff Holzmeyer is noted for Wake, who can be in the middle of that league, who can get on a run in November. Here's a quick slide for the standout middle, Lizzie Andrew, who towers at 6'5" at the net.
Towers at 6'5", and on that slide, we watched her even in warm-ups, and it is just, pounds on it. Her and the setter connect so well together. It's just a very comfortable play that you can tell that they've run a time or two.
Here's Elia Rubin, one of the ace leaders in the country on serve. Told you in the open, 3rd in Stanford career aces. And here's a net touch on the Cardinals, so 3-3 early.
Net touch right there, but I like what I'm seeing from Wake Forest, where they're getting crafty and creative with running more of a challenging offense, which is smart because they're going to cause the Cardinal to have to think about where the hitters are going, and so it's just a great thing to kind of slow their block down.
And Crawford did a big part of that Friday, 17 kills. Here's a service error. And in a match like this, service pressure has to be huge if you're Wake Forest.
I just had that same thought about, you want service pressure, but we also want to be careful of too many service errors, which I think that's the second one we've already seen early on.
Stanford, the leading service team in the ACC, no surprise there. And Coco Kirsch, one of the key subs, checks in. Her sister Daphne plays beach volleyball out in California. Both won a state title in El Toro High School, Southern California. What a dig, but no help on the back end. Point Wake Forest here early. And that's Olivia Fish, who's back in the lineup for the first time in a month for the Demon Deacons, fresh off a knee injury.
Fresh off a knee injury on the court and getting herself a kill right off the bat. It's like she never left.
An emotional team leader last year, had the clipboard, a lot of the coaching technique, missed the whole season, and missed the last month as well, just coming back today. On the slide, though, no chance. That's a hitting error, in fact, for Erica Sayer, the freshman middle. Point Wake Forest.
Both Sayer and Andrews, time and time again, we're going to see them coming behind on that slide. That's just, like I said, it's a very comfortable play for them, but they're so efficient with it.
Kevin Hambley loves the efficiency of his middles through 2 months. That's why Stanford's top 10 in the country in hit percentage. I think Whitekettle has her shot tipped. And a little off there on Park's set. So some offensive bugaboos early for the Cardinal in set 1.
And that is the thing there when we talk about, the young freshman team with Kevin Hambley earlier. And he said, Parks is still kind of working through and getting comfortable with setting these players.
Parks, who was a hitter herself in high school, not a true setter, but developing in this 6-1 attack. Good hands from Whitekettle. Off Whitekettle's hands. Farrell gets a hand on it and then crashes into Crawford. A couple of seniors there. They put that in the AARP ticket for senior citizen crime on crime. And a point for Stanford.
Farrell getting an excellent touch right there. And I know when Stanford was scouting out Wake Forest, Emma Farrell is just one of those that she is tenacious with her defense and is not going to let a ball drop.
There's an ace in front of Paige Crawford. But Farrell's now third in the conference in digs here in the ACC.
That's one of the things, that Farrell, she's just that steady player where, head coach talked about that they know what they can count on when she's out on the court.
Farrell rising up the Wake ranks. She's fourth all-time in digs. Could crack the top 2 by her career end. Good swing on the right, but that's tipped here early. And then Whitekettle goes down line. That's out of play, but great effort to save it.
Great save right there.
Blashoff keeps it in. And then Whitekettle unloads from the right.
I took some time to watch Wake Forest and just do my own scouting, and Whitekettle is one of those players that just has such a contagious energy. I love it. She's just this little ball of fire when she swings out there.
In Wake wins, she's hitting over 350. It's been that dichotomy when Wake plays well, Whitekettle efficient from the right side. Parks goes middle. Now Fish, we noted her first match in a month and 2 early points for the savvy junior out of Indianapolis.
And right there, that's the second time that Fish has gone with a tip rather than taking a big swing, but it's been effective, where that's the great thing that you don't have to see those massive power swings. Sometimes just play it smart.
Ryan Baker, part of his 2-setter offense for Wake on service. Blashoff, well placed, beats the block of Sanaa Williams. And that's an area Stanford is so dangerous as a national contender. They can tip, they can play line, all different shots.
Absolutely, and that was a really fast set that went out there to Blashoff, and so she did a really nice job. I mean, can we talk about the cut on that tip right there?
Remember, the Cardinal off an Elite 8 appearance last year, lost to Louisville in a dramatic 5-setter. Blistering serve, and that's where the Cardinal are so good. Another ace for Stanford.
Well, and I know that Wake Forest, that's one of the things during the week that they were practicing is just, the Cardinal, they have such powerful serving skills, and so it was something that they knew that they had to be ready for.
It's 2 aces a set. There's a third ace in set 1. And a quick adjustment here for Jeff Holzmeyer.
Blashoff just serving directly to Crawford time and time again. And the thing that is different with this serve that we're seeing is this is a topspin serve. So just a lot of downforce coming right there. That's 3 in a row right there, 3 aces. So they're going to have to talk about making some sort of adjustment right here.
It'll lead to a timeout. Wake Forest will take it. We'll step aside for a moment here. Stanford serving on full display in set 1. Plenty more from Winston-Salem. Cardinal all targeting Wake's senior here at Paige Crawford. Coach Holzmeyer trusting his senior in this rotation.
That's the thing with Paige Crawford. She's not new to the scene right now, and so I think just taking a second to collect yourself against this really powerful topspin serve that's coming against her. But I think the focus right now here needs to just be to get the ball up, give it some time so that the players can execute and keep the ball in play.
Julia Blashoff, the Carlsbad native, so good on serve. Targets Crawford again. That's Sadie Peck's first touch, just rotates in the front. What a power dump from the left side. That's Jordan Harvey, the Salt Lake City product, with the kill.
Jordan Harvey is just another one of those players for the Cardinal that has a lot of different shots in her tool belt, including hitting from the back row. She's a 6 rotation player, and when she gets in the back row, she can crank at it.
And these teams met in Palo Alto last year. 13 kills for Harvey in that straight set sweep. The service ace leads to an error to end the rotation.
See a little bit of frustration on her face right there after the run. The unique thing was in that serve, it didn't have as much topspin. There was a little bit more float on it, but this gym too is unique for them. Some of these teams are used to playing in these big coliseums, so sometimes it can be an adjustment when you're in a little bit of a smaller arena.
Turns into a 5-1 run, and this arena is packed today. There's camper day as well. Kids all over the place. What a block at the net. That's Erica Sayer, another freshman in the front row with a roof.
Yeah, you mentioned the energy in the crowd here. Just, really good turnout here. But let's take a look at this block right here. Just not enough time to cover and bring it back to life.
Williams in the middle. Now Stanford in system, but then a miscommunication. So Wake earning a couple of easy points, which in a matchup like this, you need to find ways to salvage a first set if you're Wake Forest.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with the ACC. You know, a lot of the different teams that have played Stanford so hard, everybody wants a piece of Stanford. And so nobody is going to just let up and, you know, make this an easy win for them.
Off the hands of Wake Forest, Stanford back up 3 in this 7-match win streak. Only 2 sets dropped for Stanford. They are rolling here in the heart of ACC play. Suffered that lone loss to Louisville on their home court. That was an ESPN matchup.
Harvey back to serve. This is another tough jump serve.
Lalaji subs in. And a net touch against Stanford. So Peck earns the point. She's right around 2 points a set on that right side for Wake Forest. We'll test every one of the 15 rotations you're allowed per set, substitutes. And Becca Bellows, part of that offense, now comes in.
Got to try out and see what's sticking and works.
Crawford to the floor, but that does touch. And Holzmeyer not pleased with the call. Our lead ref, Kevin Wendelby, on it.
That right there is what I mentioned about Elia Rubin early on with just taking that swing right there. Just very slow and calculated. I mean, that was one of the shortest roll shots I think I've seen.
That's why Stanford hits as a team 300. It's top 10 in the country. So many different options. Now Khalees Williams on the slide for Wake, their first-year middle. Nice power dump into the net. That's an element of the game Logan Parks was looking to develop in the Stanford eyes.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that we talked to with Kevin Hambley is, you know, how active is Parks in the front row? And I think that right there just showed you that she can get up and swing if she wants to.
In Stanford the last 3 years, Cami Minor's been an All-American. Her play at the net so good at reading blocks, making adjustments. You see with Parks, she's just a freshman, but as that starts to click, this team's dangerous.
Well, especially she does have the hitter experience, so she's got that power in her. I think just right now, you know, stepping up as a setter, she's getting that all figured out. So, I mean, listen, being a freshman, she's got so much time to continue to develop that is just going to be awesome and exciting to see.
Blashoff touches hands in the back row. Stanford now with its largest lead of the set.
Blashoff did a really nice job there of swinging on the high ball and just waiting to take her time because it was a little bit of a higher set.
And here's Stanford hitting 538 in the first set. Just one error. Those are ungodly numbers. Long road trip, back-to-back weeks, going coast to coast. Stanford unfazed in set 1. Bellows goes middle. White Kettle roofed. A little 22 on 22 crime.
Taking a look at this, she's just doing such a great job tracking her hitters right there. Just got right up on White Kettle.
So that's Sayers' 95th block of the year. That leads Stanford. Crawford tested on serve. And that went into the net. So Wake gets the point, 17-13. It's not a Stanford team that blitzes you with elite blocking, but the service makes it so hard to play in system.
Definitely. I was just thinking that, but, you know, I was looking at Sayers' height. At 6'2", being middle, I think the thing is just she's fast. She knows how to track him. She's got a quick arm swing, but just a really steady, solid middle, but not traditionally as tall as we're starting to see middle blockers.
No hands and a hitting error. Now Kevin Hambley wants a challenge. He's ruling a touch at the net. We'll take a look with Wade Brenner, our R2.
Taking a look right here to see if there was a touch on that. You know, a couple swings ago, same situation, taking that high swing. So.
And did White Kettle get a fingertip? That's what's being discussed.
That is, Blashoff does a really nice job of swinging at that high ball and taking advantage of the hands there on the outside.
Did the officials get Halloween candy Friday?
I don't know. You know, that's a great. I did see that pumpkin right there.
I'm more of a Reese's peanut butter cup guy. If there's any extras, I'll take them.
At the net cam right here. No, so hard to see. But I was just really right there watching and admiring how gorgeous of an arm swing Blashoff has there on the outside. But that's the beauty is Evan, we don't have to be the ones analyzing this situation. We leave this up to the pros to make that final call right here. But I will say that this is an important call right now. You know, it's 17-14 what we're seeing, and we don't want to see Stanford necessarily, Wake Forest does not want to see Stanford start to chip away and have the score have such a big gap. So, I mean, this is a big point for the Deeks.
Call on the court, no touch. And it looks like Wade Brenner has his decision. There is a touch, so Stanford wins the challenge, retains its 2. And you're right, now it's a 2-point swing, 18-13.
So this is just where Wake Forest needs to dig their heels in the back row, focus in on this pass because they've got Parks, another solid serve for the Cardinals. So just focusing in on the pass so that they can create these opportunities for their hitters.
Bellows goes outside. Whitekettle on the touch. Nice play at the net. Riley Whitekettle fired up early.
Double swing right there. Whitekettle did a nice job mixing things up a little bit. So started with a tip. Huge hustle right there on defense with the overpass and just getting up and hitting that ball in front of the 10-foot line.
The New Mexico State transfer. That's a lot of size on the right. 6'5".
Great transfer and win for the Deeks right there. She really does just bring a lot to this team.
Ryan Baker on service. Crawford gets blasted at. Great swing from the right. And here's Stanford, 6 points from the set. And Julia Blashoff, who's controlled this match early. 4 kills for the redshirt sophomore.
Last time she was back to serve, 3 aces in a row.
Now, service error changes some things here. A serve substitute. Drew Lalaji comes in, the Atlanta native for Wake. Wake Forest right in the middle of the league when it comes to serving. But it's been a real weapon for Stanford. Options for Parks. Nice hands, Williams. And then Rubin gets a net touch on Wake Forest. Haven't said Elliot Rubin's name a ton today, but there's her first point.
First kill, cutting cross court. I mean, when you're getting past Emma Farrell, you know that that's a big swing in between Paige Crawford and her.
Stanford caught Sadie Peck into the net. Crawford really struggling on serve in this set. She's forced to clear it. Great save from Etzler. And then the roll shot finds the floor. So here's Rubin, back-to-back points late in the set.
Rubin right there. You can see I'm watching her when she's taking that approach and just being so calculated with her awareness of where the players are on the court. You know, she's not just going up there and swinging as hard as she can, which she is capable of doing, but she's just so smart of, hey, how can I take advantage and just get the win on this one?
And a Stanford program that's never been to Winston-Salem. There's a lot of tradition if you're new to Stanford volleyball. First of all, 9 national championships. That's a standalone. Secondly, maybe more importantly, they've been top third in the Pac-12 or the ACC 39 of the last 40 years. So that is about as consistent as you get volleyball-wise.
And what an honor to just have that tree on your uniform and just be playing for this team. I mean, just the amount of history and culture that they have built over many, many years and just so many standout players. But it's really unique to see how young this team is. So many freshmen, but they're just really molding together.
They've played 11 ranked teams this year, won 6 of those. And you look at this program, the accolades are incredible, right? 39 All-Americans. The numbers speak for themselves. Elliot Rubin might join that list again this year as number 40, but it's consistent year in and year out. And now with 14 underclassmen, the program's getting even better.
You know, we talked with head coach Jeff Hamsby.
Kevin Hamley, absolutely.
Kevin Hamley, yeah, we got 2 H names for both of them. He talked about, you know, kind of their plan and approach of playing against the Cardinal, and he really focused on the word opportunity. He was like, let's take an opportunity to see how we can play against the 5th-ranked team. Let's see this as an opportunity for us to swing hard, swing big, and see what Wake Forest volleyball really is.
Here's Etzler, the libero on serve. A service error. So as good as Stanford's been early in the set in service, a couple of mistakes here recently. And this varsity arena is ready to bounce. Great energy, great infectious 3-set win for Wake Friday night. And an extra hour of sleep. I bet that helps a little bit with the students on hand.
Yeah, especially with that East Coast, West Coast travel. That's definitely a little bit helpful.
Jordan Harvey puts one away. It's her third kill. The Salt Lake City native, preseason All-ACC, playing night in and night out at that level. So Pack rolls one over. Rubin off hands. And there's the pick. That stays in play. Nice touch. Set point now for the Cardinal.
First time we've seen that back row swing right there. Getting them out of that long volley. Great job cutting it just to that deep back corner.
Third straight service error extends the set, 23-17. It started with 5 aces, no errors for Stanford. There's been 6 in a row now.
Starting to even out the ratio a little bit.
That was how NC State stole the second set Friday. There were 5 service errors for Stanford in that set. And a service error will lead to set point. Margin's so thin when you face a top 10 opponent like Stanford.
Well, and you know that the Deacs are really wanting to come at Stanford aggressive with that serve just so that their passing isn't perfectly on point to feed it right out to their hitter. So they want to come at them tough, but unfortunately some of those are just not making their way on the court.
Here's Crawford barreling one up. A chance here for Blashoff. Crawford again. Big swing, and Paige Crawford, her first point. It's been an adventure on serve receive. 2 kills now for Crawford.
Crawford did a really nice job there on the outside, just waiting for that ball to come down a little bit because that was a high pass that she had there to the outside, but great swing.
Set point for Stanford, up 6 here in the first. And a service error terminates the set. Well, serving the big story of set 1. 5 Cardinal aces. We're back for the second set after this timeout. We'll play more here from Winston-Salem. The story of set 1, 25-18 here early. It's a loaded ACC. That's certainly the case once again in 2025. 6 ranked programs. And some news and notes to digest as we hit the final month of this regular season. First of all, North Carolina's cracking the party in terms of great programs. Southampton, huge Friday night, hoping the Tar Heels upset SMU, and then Louisville just keeps rolling right along. Chloe Ciccone, all she's done is a 4-time Player of the Week honors, and then you look at these rankings here, Megan. It certainly speaks to Stanford's strength, but the depth of the league much better.
It's just so impressive. I mentioned this earlier on with the ACC, loving how we just continue to see it make headlines and how much growth there's been, but you got to talk about North Carolina. They're one that are just really starting to make headlines more and more, and to beat SMU, that's a big deal, and go to 5 sets, that had to have been a nail-biter to watch.
The Tar Heels have Pitt today. That's a huge matchup in the ACC.
Yeah, that's going to be a tiring weekend for them.
Wake Forest just got out of the gauntlet themselves of SMU and Pitt. Now Louisville on the back end of this 4-match stretch.
You know, and that word gauntlet is just so well said. You know, we're just in the beginning of November, and there is a handful of weeks left of ACC volleyball, but it really, both of these teams are going to be going through the gauntlet with just challenging schedules. So a lot of still work and a lot of volleyball that still needs to be played.
Stanford welcomes the Tar Heels on Friday out in Palo Alto. Now we get ready for set 2. Only the second ever meeting with Stanford just joining the conference a year ago. And the Cardinal were clicking last year, 15-3 in the league. Just 1 loss here in 2025. That was to Louisville.
Now we're about to be underway in this second set here. We saw the Deacs had some really good glimpses of great volleyball, especially White Kettle just taking some big swings there on the right side. I think that they just need to focus in this round for more ball control and really focusing on taking control of the game.
If you're a coach, both those hit percentages are ideal. It's about slowing down the opponent in set 2. Farrell goes to the floor. And now wild rally on this first point. Crawford barrels one up. Rubin on the touch. Baker outside to Crawford. Great coverage. Parks got to it, but no help. Point Wake Forest.
So I think that's one thing that I'm starting to see that the Deacs have adjusted on is we're seeing a little bit more tips and getting crafty with the shots, not just big swings over and over again. So I think they're playing smarter volleyball right now as well.
And with that kill, Crawford's now moved into 6th in Wake Forest's career history with kills, 1,291 and counting. How about the roof from Williams at the net? Quick start for the Deacons.
Deacons looking very feisty at the net right now. Williams is so active and energetic there in the front row. She does a really good job of tracking her hitters.
Holzmeyer noted, coming from Mississippi State, her eyes are so smart at the net, knows where to play shots. She has 2 blocks early, gets a hand there. Farrell comes in to bump set this. Rubin, nice coverage. Rubin gets tripped up. Longest rally of the match today.
Great coverage.
Here's Peck. Easy for Parks. Look at Farrell getting to the floor. Scrappy second set point. There's Parks going down. Crawford. Incredible dig. And Rubin clears it. Out of play. One of those points you have to win in your home building.
It's taking everything for me to not stand up with everybody in the crowd right now and applaud both sides because that was incredible. Farrell, I mean, battle of the liberos right here. Holy cow. Just 2 incredible digs, such good coverage.
Excellent. Farrell going back and forth.
That was fun to watch.
Stanford got a touch at the net there. Nice kill for Rubin, who, to your point, has picked her spots in this match, hasn't forced her swing load early.
Freshman libero, Etzler back there after those big digs.
2-time libero of the week. Good hands at the net. There's a block from Lizzie Andrew, the 6'5" middle.
When you're going up against a 6'5" middle, definitely need to be smart with where you're wanting to place that ball because she was all over it.
Just behind Jackie Taylor of Carolina for the blocks lead in the ACC. Crawford gets a one-on-one and wins it down line. That's an area Wake can take advantage of in certain rotations.
Ryan Baker did a really nice job right there. They pulled that set in a little bit more from the pin just to kind of mix things up and putting it in that back corner down the line. Excellent shot by Crawford.
A rare point where Emma Farrell is off the court in this rotation. So Williams in the serve. Everyone hitting the floor. Now free ball. Harvey off hands, and it finds the floor. And then Farrell comes right back in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Harvey on that, on her approach right there. She's just so explosive on the right side.
Harvey's a quiet 2.5 kills a set, if there's such a thing.
Right?
With the balance of Stanford.
I understand what you're saying there, though. Sneaky.
Good touch at the net. And another point for Stanford. Andrew playing off hands. Her efficiency is incredible. I mean, it's hitting around 450 throughout the year.
You just see her move along the net with her hands up high, ready.
She's currently 8th in the country in hit percentage. So efficient. Peck goes off that block and beats the libero. Wake getting its rights involved early.
Peck doing a really nice job right there. Swing high and looking for hands because you're up against some big players there.
Jeff Holzmeyer not afraid to utilize his bench today. We have not seen Patricia Laguia yet on the right. But a ton of reps for Olivia Fish and Peck out there. Whitekettle Has the size advantage and clears it down line. How do you feel right side when you see her playing this well?
Excited. I mean, she just brings her presence when she's on the court really is known, and she's doing a really good job of just mixing up where she's hitting the ball. So she's playing smart.
Whitekettle has 3 kills for Wake. That's second in the club. Wake reads the dump down from Parks. Another good save from Exler. What a creative touch, but that is just out.
I know, yeah. I mean, that spot was wide open. Had that landed in, that would have just been such a smart shot right there.
Her shoulders are going one way, her head's going the other way.
Just pushing it. That's what they call the no-looky cookie.
Hopefully oatmeal raisin, right?
Not for me.
Yeah, it's not high on your rankings. Unloading from the back row. There's Jordan Harvey. That's a shot Stanford has utilized all year long.
It just looks so good and is so effective. I mean, let's take a look back at this again. It's going right there. Just excellent.
We've seen Miami this year with Flor Marie, Heredia, Cologne really utilize the middle. Georgia Tech for a decade has done it. But Stanford stepping up this year with their middle attack in the back. Here's a kill for Crawford off hands. Now Page rotates back to serve for Wake. Misses long, hitting error. And
yep.
It's Wake's large no it.
Back corner right there. That was a nice, very deep swing.
I stand
just
corrected.
about right there on the line.
Here's Coco Kirsch. That was right on the edge of being in and out. Crawford played it. And then Fish tips one wide. The Cardinals stay pretty compact when it comes to rotations. Not a ton of subs, but Kirsch has been good in these serving patterns. 40 aces this year. Digs one up, and that goes out of play. Whitekettle with a quick point on the pipe.
Another big swing right there for Whitekettle, and that's the great thing about her is, yes, she, is traditionally swinging there from the right side, but look at that, she just comes around and cranks it in the middle.
Whitekettle, who was utilized a little bit in the middle of the Mexico State, but Coach Holzmeyer wants to put her in different spots to score.
I think that's the great thing about her, just, very diverse, which is a great player and contribution to have on your team.
It's led to a balance of Wake's scoring. 5 different players and multiple kills. And here's Wake's largest lead of the match, with Fish back in for the first time in a month. Whitekettle had to hit that on an awkward angle right into the net.
That is the one challenging thing there, being on the right side. When you have that ball passed at you, the timing has to be just right, or else it is an awkward swing unless you're a lefty.
Yeah, we think of Amanda Rice last year at NC State. She was so good on the right. Over 4 points a set for the Wolfpack. Got them into the tournament for the first time in a decade. Fish is roofed. Wow, power hands from Jordan Harvey.
Taking a look back here at the block, they just closed that perfectly in just enough time. I think that Fish was looking to swing right there in that seam, but just close it up.
Ooh, this will almost hit the roof, and then kept in play. Reynolds Gym keeps it compact. Good job by Parks to the floor. Through the hands of Whitekettle.
Seeing some scrappy volleyball right here from both sides, just trying to keep that ball alive.
Off balance, and it hits the floor. Nice long rally for the Cardinal early in set 2. Is that possibly considered a back row? Great effort by Stanford. And there's Olivia Fish, who her presence has been huge in this matchup.
Yeah, she did a really nice job there, just not taking that full swing and just nice roll shot to that back corner. Very effective.
Fish, as a freshman, averaged over 2 kills a set, missed all of last year. A little spark for the Deacons today. Here's Blashoff looking for her first points of set 2. Peck had to go left-handed, little flick shot. Oh, we got a collision. Some traffic here on I-40 that does connect these states, California to North Carolina. It takes a minute, but you can get there. How about Fish with a cut shot?
There we go. Fish getting active and excited. You know, you mentioned her not playing at all last season, but kind of stepping up in a coaching role, so to speak, where I'm sure as a player sitting there watching and learning, she developed a lot of skills just through that time.
Now her ACC best, 4 kills for Wake. Right through the hands of Crawford on the slide there. Erica Sayre with a point.
Sayre, just another one of those just super active middle hitters, seeing run on the slide time and time again, just working.
Julia Blashoff, who averages 2 kills a set as a tertiary piece last year. She is a main weapon for the Cardinal this season. And gets tested here on the tip. Fish goes back row, misses long, and now it's even 12 apiece.
That is another one of the things that the Cardinal do have on this team, is just having some depth. They've got a lot of good options as far as hitters go, defenders go. You know, I was thinking about what their practices must be like and just how much competition and challenging it is during the week. I'm sure that they push each other incredibly hard.
A lot of good on the court right now. 8 straight wins for the Cardinal. Crawford effort, just short. Stanford now with 3 of the last 4 points. And Jeff Holzmeyer is going to burn a timeout. We'll take it. Stanford getting on a run here early in set 2. We'll conclude the set when we come back. Second set here between number 5 Stanford. Wake Forest is the second ever meeting, and Paige Crawford, in the modern era of rally scoring, is now eclipsed in second place in the program, and she's such a staple for this team over the last 4 years.
She is. You know, it's funny, you took the word era right out of my mouth, because I feel like we've been living in the Paige Crawford era. I mean, she's just been such an instrumental player for this team. It's been fun to watch her continue to grow and develop over the years. You know, sometimes you see those players who've just been taking swing after swing, and sometimes they peak, you know, and I feel like Paige is one of those, even in her senior season, that we're still seeing so much growth and development, which really, you know, shows the level of coaching and type of player that she is.
Getting better and better as a senior, Crawford. Today it's been an adventure on serve receive, but playing well from the back row. There's Rubin unloading. Nice save from Sadie Peck. Paige will take a shot from the back, and that's the versatility of Paige Crawford.
It's like she knew we were talking about her leading up to that, and I think that Paige has done a really good job as well at adjusting. You know, when things aren't working for her, okay, how can I figure this out and change up my game a little bit? So just really good at adapting.
Jeff Holzmeyer noted her athleticism got better from one year to the next under the new staff, jumping much higher, more of a weapon in the back row, some of the key talking points. She now rotates into the front and gets a hand on that shot from Harvey. Great effort to save it, but into the net on the Etzler dive. Wake back-to-back points.
Nice job there on the second ball, throwing it over. I felt like that was a very unexpected thing that nobody really was planning for, so super effective.
Packed house here in Varsity Arena. Stanford serve dominates set 1. Wake keeping things interesting here in set 2.
A rare passing error right there.
And Williams cleans up the dump. That's right at the net. Too easy for Sanaa Williams.
You know, I was just thinking to myself that Coach Holzmeyer had taken a timeout here a couple of plays ago, and that was such a key moment just because Stanford was starting to close in right there. So very well done. I thought that was a smart timing on that, and Wake just continuing to hold on right here.
Back to a 1-point difference. And here's where Stanford can be dangerous on the service line. 5 aces in that first set. What kind of pressure can Spencer Etzler provide here? Here's Crawford. Well done on that set. Puts it in the back row. And then Volleyball gets a body on it. Crawford down line. Surprises Parks in the back row.
The amount of speed that just came from Volleyball on that defensive play right there. I mean, she came out of nowhere, but what an incredible save. That was well worth it to lead to that point.
A much scrappier Wake Forest performance here in set 2. They played excellent defensively Friday against Cal, but a different tier of competition today. Forcing a punch, and that hits the floor. The kill in the middle for Lizzie Andrew. So it's like every match hits 700 plus. Like there's no way to stop Lizzie Andrew.
No, there's not. And it's just so fun to watch.
And a league loaded with great middles. I mean, Ryla Jones at Pitt obviously does year in and year out great stuff.
Harvey, really tough float serve right there.
Crawford goes off Andrew's hands. And now Rubin tees up. Back row, blast shot. We're getting all the weapons for Stanford in this rotation. And the Cardinal capitalize on it, though. Andrew again on the slide. Good point for the Cardinal.
And there she goes again. Throughout this entire rally, it was nice to see Parks did a really good job on the Cardinal side of mixing up the opportunities of who she was going to deliver the ball to.
Just behind Khalees Hawkins that time into the net. And here's Stanford responding with 4 straight points. Jordan Harvey's turn on serve. Great hands at the net. And now Stanford in system. Andrew again on that slide, and there's no stopping the 6-5 middle. Timeout, Wake Forest.
It's one of those things right here, the timeout. Calling it at, I think a perfect time just because we're at 18-16, and this is where we don't want Stanford to continue to go on that stretch. So I think that that's where Wake's making the call of like, hey, let's slow things down and stop the momentum. I think right now here for the Wake, if we're to think about what they were talking about here, I think that we just need to focus a little more on the passing. It seems like things are getting a little bit on the sloppy side, so just really need to focus in on what they've been doing right and go back to that again.
Yeah, the pressure Stanford's starting to pick up, largely by the middles today. A ton of credit to Lizzie Andrew. So as she has 6 kills, let's touch on her performance here in the second set.
Yeah, I think just running on that slide over and over again, she's continuing to get the ball because she's been so consistent with killing it and handling it. So, I mean, why not go with what's working? I think right now, too, we're seeing, I believe it's Jordan Harvey that's back there who is serving the ball, and it's almost like a cannonball. You watch it just clear the tape of the net, and it just drops down. So making it really tough right now to also get a good pass.
Yeah, between Andrew and Sayer, those medals have been very effective. And now Harvey, who kind of ho-hums her way through 5 kills and a couple of digs and 2 blocks mixed in.
Again, I mean, just seeing a right side 6 rotation, that's not something that you traditionally see all the time. Like you said, they don't really use too many subs.
Well, you can't tee up a middle like that. There's a nice scoring run, 5-0 for Stanford.
Yeah, that overpass right there, we're like, uh-oh.
Now that ball had cannonball written all over
it. It did. It definitely did. But this serve.
Stanford serving got on a run late in set 1. Crawford gets an antenna touch, and she's up to 8 kills today. Very efficient.
Yeah, and Crawford, one of those, from the start of the game, we knew that she's just going to be one of those players for Wake Forest that they were going to have to count on to show up today, and that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, this is the best version of Paige Crawford. Those kind of numbers, especially playing all 6 rotations. Wake will need more of that today. That goes with the float. Oh, Harvey comes in and gets hands of the net. The vision there to read the tip in the middle. That's a great shot from Harvey.
It is. I think that she's got the ability to, she wants to cut it right, she's going to cut it right. She wants to go left, she just can swing anywhere she wants.
There's a reason the Stanford Cardinal produced 40 All-Americans. There's so much. Great coaching here from Kevin Hambley, hitting error for Wake. And a team, he said that we need this last month to fine-tune some details before the tournament. Well, we're seeing a good result through 2 sets.
Yeah, and you mentioned the gauntlet of the, matches that they have ahead. This is just, they need to capitalize and continue to grow every single time they're out there on the court.
A rare service there for Elia Rubin. Because Stanford has a pretty difficult schedule coming up here with Carolina, Pitt, SMU, and Georgia Tech the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, one of their few losses this season with Louisville. You always have that team that you get kind of hung up against. And to me, for Stanford, it really seems like Louisville is that one that is just like, oh.
Yeah, going back to last year's Elite Eight matchup.
Exactly.
And then even earlier today, Whitekettle hits one off the noggin. She's been very productive in the right side.
Yeah, I think that this is when Whitekettle is in for the Deke, they really need to focus on going on runs right now because she's been super effective in the front row.
And can they score in these next 3 rotations? Crawford in the back, Whitekettle in the front. But a service error. Those are one of the errors, right? Every error is different, but in that rotation, that timing of the set is huge.
Exactly.
That'll be a talking point for Jeff Holzmeyer between sets. We'll break down a loaded day of busy ACC matchups coming up after set 2. Fish has to be creative.
Tough ball for Fish, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a passing error that led to some trouble. Stanford up 3.
Fish doing a nice job. That ball was just way past the pin, so doing whatever she could to save it. And that's one of the things Holzmeyer had actually mentioned when we had a call with him earlier this week and talking about his setters. He was like, setters, the goal is to not be seen and recognized or be talked about, because when you're being talked about is when you're probably doing something wrong.
Really good hands from Erica Sayer, and here's Stanford on set point. Remember, that's a 6'2" middle, reaching above a 6'5" and getting hands on that.
That's another thing that I wish we had listed in their stats was I'd love to know everybody's vertical.
If you're getting in that 10'5", 11-foot range, you're doing something right. Here's Fish. Goes cut shot, misses wide, and Stanford pulls away late. It's a 4-point run. Very tight late, 18-16, and then Stanford takes over. We'll step aside for this intermission. Cardinal have a 2-set advantage. Top 5 team in the country rolling. We'll be back for some more volleyball for this time. Varsity Arena today. Stanford taking control late. A 7-1 swing to close out set 2. Just the second ever meeting between these programs. And as we hit the second half of ACC conference play, giving you a sense of where we sit. So Stanford, they do have the Louisville loss, but control their destiny in terms of the top spot in the league. And Wake Forest getting on a run. They did beat Cal a few days back. That top 6 is brutal in the ACC. If you're cracking that, you're doing something right. And then Florida State and Georgia Tech try to keep things interesting. They're tournament at-large type teams. And as we dive into this final month, thank you guys for joining us today with Megan Cole, Evan Budrovich. First and foremost, Stanford's serving's been really good, and then when Wake gets on a run, Stanford's had a response.
I knew this going in. I said Wake is going to show up. They're going to challenge them and play hard. We're about to go into the 3rd set, and you know what? There's still time and opportunity, but I mean, we've seen a lot of greatness from both sides of the court today. Long volleys, and so it's just going to be fun to watch this number 3.
Yeah, Stanford's got a great middle who's been so involved in this matchup. You think about what Lizzie Andrew can do, has really answered the net very well.
She is. She's great on the net. I mean, just hands up, ready to take advantage of anybody that's coming against her. And then let's talk about when she is in system, running that slide. She's just so powerful. So just such a key player for the Cardinal.
She has 7 kills on 9 swings, and then Paige Crawford's taken a big shoulder to load for Wake Forest.
We said that at the beginning of this game, that Paige Crawford is going to have to be here, and she's going to have to show up for the Deeks, and that's exactly what she's doing. I think she's done a really good job of adjusting and just making plays at those key moments when they really need her to show up.
And Crawford also has 7 kills. But right as Wake got back within business, it was 18-16. Stanford really terminated that set with great serving.
Yeah, it's funny. I think when you look at the scoreboard, it almost doesn't really reflect the volleyball that we were seeing, because I really do feel like Wake Forest has been playing competitive. So I think they just need to focus a little more on a couple things, fine-tune it, and they'll get there.
A Stanford team that's efficient as heck, 368, the top 10 in the country doing that. To your point, the serving late in sets has made the difference, when it was 18-15 in both sets and then Stanford pulls away.
Yeah, that second set right there, I think Stanford just really dialed in on their serving. I mean, like I said, cannonballs is exactly what they were delivering. So Wake Forest just really going to have to focus in on their serve receive so that they can make those opportunities happen for the offense. So we're going into number 3. They had the opportunity to kind of collect themselves, refocus, and so we've got, a lot of volleyball still ahead.
Kevin Hambley pulling out his reading goggles to help out, get some of those stats from the first 2 sets. He'd be very pleased with the efficiency of Stanford. And Jeff Holzmeyer, who chuckled at himself on the video board pregame. They had him crossing his arms, looking all tough. He started laughing.
Yes, yeah.
First year here, changing the culture at Wake Forest.
I was going to say, his first year here, he seems like he's adapted really well and has a lot of pride with the program here so far. He likes the culture, the community. The campus is absolutely beautiful. So I think it's been a really, nice change for him.
And if you like Forbes U.S. News rankings for academic schools, this is a great matchup.
Definitely is. And I mean, his career at Florida State was incredibly impactful as well. So staying here in the ACC, ready to grow Wake Forest program. Working
under Chris Poole, who's now at 950 wins and just keeps racking them up. Here we start set 3 with Rubin going outside. Valaji punched it back in. Nice save, and that stays inside the antenna but goes out. Paige Crawford with her 8th kill.
Evan, that's probably one of the adjustments that the Cardinal has got to get comfortable with, being in a smaller facility. We had talked about that earlier because, when you're in these bigger Coliseums, you've got a little bit more room to run and save a ball, but they have to be a little bit more careful inside here.
Yeah, Maples Pavilion, very cavernous. A lot of space to save those wild rallies. Great serve, and Wake floats one in with Sanaa Williams.
Williams doing a great job with blocking there and just getting good touches in the front row, and now getting herself an ace there.
14 aces this year for Sanaa, 2 of those in this match. And now a tight set for Parks, who tees it up perfectly to Andrew. Well, it helps having an efficient middle, but that was an incredible set.
That was such a good set right there. I mean, I think this is where it comes in with her having that experience of being a hitter and just jumping and getting up there.
Now, Cami Minor wowed people last year as an All-American setter. Parks, who is converting to that role this year, has done a great job. Crawford beats her at the net and wakes up 2.
Any player who has the ability to convert to a setter just shows an immense amount of athleticism. I mean, a setter role is not something that you can just say, oh, I think I want to be a setter today. So,
and she was the
impressive.
Gatorade Player of the Year in Kansas, a state that is loaded with volleyball talent.
Absolutely.
Goes across the country to Stanford. Andrew on the slide, a rare touch that didn't result in the kill. Rubin gets hands to the net. And here's Elia Rubin, 5 kills, finding her rhythm in set 3. And Ipar Kurt, who was dominant Friday with 17 kills, she's really yet to come into the match. No rotations. Bellows has to sprint to the 10-foot line, and then Crawford beats the block. Paige Crawford's shot versatility has really developed as a senior.
It really has, and I think that that's been such a big part of why I've talked about, she's just continuing to grow here, closing out on her career at Wake Forest and just continuing to impress us and change and evolve is awesome to see.
We noted earlier, second in the modern scoring era in terms of total kills, finding different ways to produce as a senior. Bellows, great save. And then a block at the net. Andrew with the big hands. That slows down a first-time swing for Anya Santrak, who comes in.
Got your middle taking the set right there. I think that was just such a high ball on the set that gave Lizzie all the time in the world to get up there and close on that block.
This is Anya's first match in 3 weeks. She played against Clemson here at home. the Serbian freshman. And another ace for the Cardinal. Coco Kirsch joins the ace party. 6 of those.
Yeah, Wake Forest, you mentioned them playing Clemson, sweeping them at home in 3. And that's one of those things, you know, Wake Forest is known to play really well at home. And, you know, swept Cal on Friday night.
Double-digit home wins the last 2 years. It might be a little trickier with the lack of home games this season, but you never know. Confusion. Stanford figures it out. And then Whitekettle tools the block. So when Whitekettle's on the court, she's found her way to score. 6 kills.
And that's the thing I said earlier on. When Whitekettle is on the court, they are scoring, and she is scoring. So this is one of those they really need to protect the ball and hold on to it.
Wake has had early leads in all 3 sets. But it's Stanford in those final 5 points that's pulled away. Parks goes to the slide. No hands and a hitting error for Stanford. Only the 6th hitting error of the match.
You know, and I was just thinking, I think that's the first error on a slide that I have seen so far.
When teams are hitting that efficiently, so difficult for an opponent. That's why Stanford's won 7 straight, because of shots like that. Blashoff goes down line. And the bench is loving it. They have the sandwich they're eating because she's eating at the net, scoring all the points.
Yes, the new eating.
It's the service
new
error.
lingo. Got to work on keeping up with all that.
We got to get you on TikTok. We'll figure it out.
I know.
Maybe you shouldn't. That'll save you 30 minutes of your day. Now a couple rotations for Wake as Sadie Peck comes into the front along with Anya Santak. That's a tight return for Santak. Peck unloads and beats the block. A lot of different right sides getting involved for Wake today.
They really are. I mean, they're doing a nice job because that has been kind of one of the places that so far the Cardinal has not been able to stop. So seeing a little bit of a different front row right now. But, you know, I think that they're just trying again to figure out maybe this is something a little bit different that might work for us to let us hold on for another game.
Stanford in the net, so Wake Forest now up 4. And Peck and Williams, the 2 freshmen, have gotten a ton of rotation as first-year players. I think back to 4 years ago, that was Farrell and Crawford, who were all ACC freshmen. It had been over 10 years since Wake had 2 of those in the same season. 4 years later, they're now concluding their careers this month.
Well, looking at the score right now with Wake Forest up 9-6, this is one of those things from the beginning. I just felt like in the ACC, everybody is just playing so tough and so competitive that a win is not going to just be handed to you.
Williams in the middle. Nice feed from Baker. So Wake in this set hitting extremely efficient through 10 points.
And just I was going to say, you take a look at this pass. I mean, that was a tough serve right there. She got a perfect pass right in the hands of Baker.
Can we give Farrell a half assist for that?
I think she deserved, yeah, especially for the pass she just had.
Farrell continues to dominate the back row. Nice shot to cut through the middle. Erica Sayer with the point. She didn't play as much Friday, but getting a big impact this afternoon.
I like it. You see Parks and Sayer, they're kind of trying things maybe a little bit different right now. Didn't connect perfectly on that ball, but she was still able to do something with it.
Kessler on the float serve. Targets her fellow libero. What a roof at the net. Rubin energized.
Well, we mentioned it right there on the right side. You know, Wake Forest has done a really good job with, that's kind of been the space that hasn't been shut down, but Rubin got up there and just blocked right down the line.
9th team block for Stanford. Not a prolific blocking team, but they're finding moments to be effective. Although Crawford goes over the block. 1v1, Page up to double figures in kills. Last 3 sets, Wake's had early control, couple point advantages. Stanford servings neutralized that. Andrew again. It is rinse, wash, and repeat. 9 kills on 12 swings. That's unheard of.
It's kind of one of those things at this point right now where if she's in the front row and we see a good pass, I think Parks is having so much fun, you know, creating these opportunities for her to swing. So she's like, let's just go for it.
Speaking of that efficiency, Parks had 48 assists Friday in a 4-set match. That is some big-time numbers.
It really is.
And then Parks shows you her arm, unloads to the back row. What a weapon for a true two-way at the net. A lot of times you see setters go for the soft tip or maybe a touch. She can blast one there.
Exactly, and I think that that's something, you know, going to continue to work on and develop, because that's going to be another weapon that they're just going to have to, you know, teams will have to focus on defending.
Baker has to throw that to the back. Crawford off the double. That goes out and misses Page's leg. It was pretty close, but it leads to a Wake point. She's laughing about it. I think Farrell was like pulling her leg away from the ball, making sure it didn't hit her.
Let me help you.
You see that nugget for Page, over half her season in double figures. 16 of now 23 matches. Andrew again. That time Farrell's all over it. Crawford off noggin, and Page the back-to-back points. It might have to be a Crawford kind of set if Wake's going to pull this out.
Yeah, Crawford just showing up exactly how they need her to right now. You can see that look and determination in her face right now. She is dialed in.
Difficult serve. Farrell towards the scorer's table. And Crawford is blocked. Andrew had enough of that story.
That is the thing I'm continuing to see right here is, you know, if that second set is high in the air and going to the outside, it's almost like she's just standing there waiting for it to be put in her hands to block it down.
And that was 5 or 6 straight balls that went to the same spot. That's hard to play for Crawford. She gets a do-over and misses wide. You can tell Andrew's a little in her mind there on that shot, trying to cut it.
Yep, exactly. And I would have done the same exact thing, as just trying to move out of her way, because you either have to swing high for hands or cut it hard or look for some sort of seam, because if she's there, you've got to work around her.
10 total blocks for Stanford. And a service error gives Wake the advantage. 1 point for the media. And Holzmeyer will make a quick sub. Sandtrack had a ton of potential, but injured in the preseason. Didn't see a lot of her out of Serbia.
Well, you know, this is a lot of opportunity for the Deeks, having some of these younger players to continue to grow and develop with Holzmeyer.
Williams got a head on it, but that's not going to help. The old ball that ricochets.
Yep.
Try to find it, and then it hits you. No Patricia Legita today for Wake, but others have filled those shoes on the right. Here's Hawkins, the freshman, launches one long, and it's 14 apiece.
Becca Bellows doing a nice job there. It was a really good thought creating that one-on-one opportunity with Hawkins, but just seems like she just needed a snap over the top of the ball a little bit more.
And what a difference between the two teams on slide. Stanford has been uber efficient. Wake's run it once or twice. Whitekettle, though, beats the block.
Incredible up right there by Coco Kirsch.
And past Bellows, Stanford takes the lead, heading into our timeout. Cardinal on the verge of a straight set sweep. When we come back, we'll find out what happens here in set 3 from Winston-Salem. Salem, a homecoming for Miss Sydney Duncan. You see the sophomore there to San Antonio. Her family very well renowned here on the Wake Forest campus. Her father, Tim, a Hall of Famer for the Spurs, and played a long time here at Wake Forest. And her mom's in the building as well. Here's a family photo from their time at Stanford. Look at Tim Duncan living his best life, watching his daughter have a blast, play college volleyball, and then not just the Duncan side of the family. Amy Sherrill, a former cheerleader here at Wake, and Sydney's mom's in the building today, checking things out.
It is a family affair here in Reynolds Gymnasium. it's just incredible, looking at the history of all these players. There's so many of these athletes who have parents, that excel, but Tim Duncan, that might take the cake.
Yeah, Wake Forest royalty back in the building today. Long rally early in set 3. And Parks with a power dump. She's crafty with that left hand. And we asked Coach Chambly, hey, how's the relationship with Duncan and coming back to Wake? And he said, he didn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just like she's being her own person and, creating her own legacy here at Stanford, which is pretty cool.
So here's Stanford getting on a 5-point swing, make it 6 with the ace. And now for Jeff Holzmeyer, you have a timeout. He's going to use it right away. You can't let this set get out of hand.
Yeah, especially, a minute ago we were neck and neck with the score, and now we're starting to see Stanford chip away a little bit. And this is what you talked about at the beginning, is just Wake Forest has done a really good job at the beginning of leading, and then the momentum slowly starts to shift here. So this is exactly what's happening here in this third set. So if Wake wants to hold on to see another set, they just have to make some changes right now.
Final month, if you can believe it, of the ACC, and both these clubs have difficult slates coming up. We noted Wake on the back end of their ranked opponents, but Stanford goes head on into a brutal stretch.
Though, if you're top 5 in the country, that's what I would want leading into the tournament, is to go against the best, just to continue to develop and kind of figure out, okay, what are we really capable of here? And also to solidify who are the players that we want out on the court to try to take us to win a national championship, or at least perform really well in the tournament.
Stanford has a boatload, and then Wake Forest, they do have Louisville coming up. But Megan, you look at this next 2 weeks, there are opportunities for the Demon Deacons.
And that's one of the things that the head coach, he talked about, Holzmeyer, is that we want to finish this season better than where we were in preseason rankings. And so that's one of their goals this season, is to really just take advantage of some of these wins that really can happen for them.
They were picked 15th. They're above that at the moment. Like you mentioned, they can play better down the stretch and help themselves out. Here's an ace for the Cardinal. Kind of the same script as sets 1 and 2. The serving for Stanford is leading to this run.
Yes, very consistent theme that we've seen throughout this entire match.
The Cardinal could taste it, the trip to the Elite 8 last year, just short, and go freshman heavy in 2025. Right now, those freshmen are locked in. Good save from Rubin out of the back. And that's a 4th touch. So Wake gets a point back, snapping the 6-point swing.
A rare error mistake so far for a Blashoff. We've seen her do that a couple of times, and it's actually been something that's worked for her. So for that tip, just didn't work out.
Here's the slide. Whoa!
Oh my
big swing for Erica Sayer.
Wish we could have clocked that one, because that had some massive power. Look at this, right down the line. Saw Paige Crawford, she's standing there on the line, and that just went on the left of her foot.
There is a challenge here. If anything, Wake has a couple to burn. You use one as a mini timeout.
Absolutely. Kind of get in there and let's talk about it, because, 1915, still plenty of volleyball to play. So what are some of the things that we can do right now? We talked to Coach Holzmeyer earlier this week. He talked about the importance of just playing and living in the moment for every point, and just kind of getting past it. Once that point's gone and done, let's move on to how can we win this next point.
So this call's confirmed. Yep, does hit the white. Wake has 1 challenge remaining. I understand the use of that challenge as well. You want to earn a point where you can. And here's the star of the show, Logan Parks, who's been dishing out 32 assists. And an ace for Parks. Well, that has been a huge story for Wake. Serve, receive. Credit to Stanford there.
And to your point, Wake knew that coming in. All week long they've been trying to just deliver challenging serves so that they could prep for this game in particular. So, I think it's just one of those, it's just hard to manage. It's just that Stanford is that good at serving.
I also buried the lead. Parks is top 10 in digs in the ACC. She had that aspect to her great setting. She can swing it at the net and can play her back row position pretty well.
So what can you not do?
And she's a freshman. Here's a timeout for Wake Forest. One thing with the Deacons, though, they can take Paige Crawford's performance, a high hit percentage, takes a ton of swings, which you expect, but as the year goes on, she'll have better matchups to try to be more efficient.
And I think that that's something that Wake Forest is going to have to focus on. They know that she is that, tried and true outside hitter that they can always count on, but you want to have multiple players that you're able to create those opportunities for. And I think that that's what Wake Forest is really trying to do right now, is build up other hitters so that they can take those swings and opportunities. But before that, you're going to have to get those passes to the setters to even create it, to make it happen.
Lizzie Andrew, the ever-efficient 640 hit percentage. She leads the country in that number. I mean, it's just nonstop. If you look at the Stanford team, it's nobody double figures. It's balance. It's a team that you look tournament-wise, they do provide a lot of threats at the net.
And I think that that's really well said. What you mentioned right there is the balance. It's everybody is getting these opportunities. And I think the great thing for them as well is when they are in a tricky situation where maybe they're not going to get that perfect pass to a hitter, they've got somebody in the back row that can take a swing. They've got a setter that's active. So it's just, to your point, a really well-balanced team, which I think is a huge reason why they are top 5.
So as the music says, let's get down to business. 6-point matchup here in set 3. Stanford serving, impressing. Williams with the dump and a net touch that goes against Wake Forest. Remember, this was 14-13, back and forth. We've seen a ton of those early. But here's a top 5 team in the country starting to flex their muscle without Ipar Kurt, who led the team in kills Friday.
Well, and I mentioned that, just the level of depth and talent that they have, which is always great, because if you have somebody that maybe isn't having the best day or isn't performing, you have options.
There's Whitekettle. Good slide by Rubin. A net touch against Stanford. That's a long rally going to Wake. An area they've improved upon in this match, winning some of those feisty rallies.
That is one thing that we haven't seen as much in this third set, is the long rallies going on. Earlier, in 1 and 2, they were kind of battling it out. We saw a battle of the liberos, but there's a lot more fast-paced play.
There's Ryan Baker on service. Blashoff so effective in set 1. She's been held in check, but gets hands that time, and Stanford's 2 points in the match. 9 kills for Blashoff.
Blashoff doing a nice job there on the second swing there, just staying patient.
The Stanford team that drives back to Raleigh, then flies back to Palo Alto tonight. They'll host 2 top 25 teams next week.
Yeah, we're going to want to get some good sleep on the plane and rest up for a big week ahead. Blashoff in that first set getting 3 aces in a row off of this jump serve that she has. See if we'll put some topspin behind it or if she'll go with the float.
Blashoff on match point. Tests Emma Farrell. And Crawford continues a nice match. She's got 13 points for Wake. Might be too little too late, but a productive match.
Yeah, Paige Crawford really should be proud of herself because she's been given a lot of opportunities to swing and really, has done a great job this afternoon.
It's on the shoulders of Drew Lalagi here in the third. And a service error sends Stanford home with a successful road trip. Back-to-back weeks in the Carolinas. A clean sweep today. They go 4-0 in the 2-week trip.
Stanford just delivering and putting on an impressive performance to close out the East Coast, West Coast battle that we saw. So going home with 2 wins, which I know they're going to be excited for. And like you mentioned, they've got a big week ahead of them to prep for.
And if you're Kevin Hambly, no players in double figures. The face may not show it, but he's going to be a happy camper as his club rolls into North Carolina and takes 2 matchups. What a fun Sunday for college volleyball. Stanford continues their top 10 ascent, and Wake Forest gets a big test here against a dominant program. Megan, your final thoughts on the day?
I'm just excited to see what ACC volleyball has for the remainder of November. There's a lot of time here and a lot of challenge ahead. So both these teams still have plenty of time and opportunity to continue to grow, which I know is what's going to happen for them.
Second ever meeting, Stanford takes it in 3. It's called crossover season. That begins tomorrow. Tonight, get that extra hour of sleep and enjoy it. Stanford takes it in 3. For our great crew, Megan Cole, Everett and Drew in the studio, I'm Evan Bogdovich. We'll see you next time. Stanford wins it in straight sets. This is a presentation of ESPN.